school crossing guards and moving them to a third party. We put out an RFP for the purpose of identifying a reliable provider. We believe we've done that. All City Management Services, known as the Crossing Guard Company. Our staff and the staff from the school district met with ACMS, and as a result, we are all confident that it's a good fit. And not only the savings that it will affect, but also in the fact that by them managing the school crossing guards, it removes the responsibility from the police department. And when we have shortages because of absences from school crossing guards, we won't have to use police officers any longer to fill those vacancies. They can go about the business of their normal tasks at hand. With that said, I'd like to ask Council to consider listing for action Monday evening permission to enter into an agreement with All City Management Services for provision of the crossing guard services here in Pottstown for the 2016-2017 school year, and that would certainly be in a manner that's acceptable to the Borough Solicitor and myself. Next item, I previously reported to you that we would be demolishing the police substation and Human Relations Commission building, which was located at, I believe it's 509 Chestnut Street. I'd let you know that project is near completion. The building has been demolished. Topsoil has been put in, or I think fill has been put in, topsoil will follow. The fence will be put up to extend the park, and we'll be seeding it in the fall once the time is right for that. Just want to remind councilors that when emailing for borough business, please use your borough email and not your personal email address. I don't want to see anyone open their personal email up to the subject to a right to know. So keep it on the borough email. Happy to tell you that we have officially moved into the new public works facility. Remind you that on June the 21st at 7 p.m. we will be holding a joint Pottstown Borough Council, Pottstown School Board meeting at 140 High Street, which is the new innovation hub at the Community College next to the Schuylkill River Heritage Center. Next time I'd like to discuss, we've had some recent discussions between staff, the fire chief, the solicitor, and it's become apparent that our fire ordinance needs to be tweaked in a way that gives the fire chief more authority, not only on the fire scenes, which he currently has, but away from the fire scenes. At the same time, we believe that it would be appropriate to change the requirements for the chief's position to open it up so that it can get a broader field of candidates for the fire chief's position. As some of you may know, Chief Langle will most likely be retiring at the end of this year or shortly after this year. So with council's blessing, I'd like to ask permission to have the solicitor move ahead in drafting possible changes for your consideration in the future. And the last item I have, I just want to let you know, I know I told last month that we were researching the various Human Relations Commissions throughout the state of Pennsylvania and how they operate. I had promised you that I'd try and have that information for you at this meeting. It is turning out to be a much more onerous task than we realized, getting replies from the various commissions throughout the state because they typically don't have offices that you can just call and get information. So with that said, I would ask you to consider giving us a waiver until the July meeting so we can continue to do the research. And that's the extent of my report. Thank you very much.
I'd like to touch on two things in your manager's report, Mark. One, the fire ordinances, which is great, and I want everybody to know that is definitely two things that became crystal clear along the many hours that I spent learning about for fire services. And also, we had talked about broadening the search for a borough fire chief. I think we should expand it beyond just the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania because Delaware, Maryland, New Jersey, they're very close in proximity border states that I would also include them in the search. And then with the Human Relations Commission, I had an opportunity to speak with Councilwoman Paez, Councilman Kirkland on a couple occasions. We did a conference call with Johnny Corson and Al Dunn. I had an opportunity to speak with Johnny Corson on several occasions, Presley Day on several occasions, and I think we've come up with some common ground. So if we could talk about that a little bit as instead of pursuing other municipalities and just talk about our municipality and what we could do here. the word discrimination, that's thrown out so freely these days, it's really starting to lose its meaning. Nearly every day I hear and read about someone claiming discrimination because they didn't get something that they were entitled to. Allegations of discrimination, they're very serious accusations, and I firmly believe cases that are truly discriminatory should be handled at the state level. State organizations are already fully functional and fully funded. However, Rita knows that the Human Relations Commission, if they wanted to pursue equal powers granted by the state, they could pursue that avenue with the state as an independent organization with state purview, responsibility, liability, and funding. But her and I discussed the Human Relations Commission as it relates to the Borough of Pottstown, and similar to what it had been in the past, it's kind of fell off a little bit because we haven't had commissioners that have been interested. But they want to work with the borough as an arm of protection for all the residents. So that means working in cooperation with the borough government, the management, the police department, and upholding our laws. I'm a little disturbed by one example that was given to me with the Human Relations Commission that they kind of thought was a win, but was still a little bit of a loss because the outcome really didn't satisfy all parties. However, that could have had a little bit of a different outcome if the communication would have been better in that situation. So our ordinances are not perfect. They're put in place to try to protect all the residents. At any time citizens, the commissioners, want to sit down and talk about our ordinances and how we can strengthen them, I'm more than happy and open to listening and seeing what we can do. I understand the need for people to have a resource, a place to turn that they feel safe, that they can speak freely and privately without judgment or fear. And whether that fear is real or perceived, it does exist. I know there might be cultural differences, there might be language barriers, so people need to have a place that they can come to get the resources that they need. I also recognize that there's room for some educational programs, workshops, conflict resolution, mediations, things that can prevent problems from happening in the first place. So some of the things we talked about, Rita, Joe, if you're still with me here, for the Human Relations Commission to continue to act as a referral agency that it does now, cases found to have discriminatory merit must be referred to the PA State Human Relations Commission for processing. Referring people in need of help to appropriate agencies, whether it be adult and aging, youth services, mental health, occupational and vocational rehabilitation. Participation of people wanting to take part in mediation, that's strictly voluntary. That's strictly voluntary, and the commissioners are also volunteers. The commission must work within the current budget set forth, which is $6,700 annually. Mediation has to be full circle, so it must include all harmed parties. We understand that the commissioners that want to participate in mediation need some mediation training. Some of them may have some of them may not. Montgomery County provides a lot of trainings at no cost, and then there's also a lot of trainings and workshops that are available at no cost through different agencies and organizations. Mediation should take place at Borough Hall. It's a professional, secure, handicap accessible place for everybody. And likely some of the mediations, if you're going to pick up where I left off, are going to include law enforcement and the L&I department. They can be active, and they want to be active in facilitating educational, reinforcement, interactive programs, workshops on various subjects such as anti-bullying, cultural differences, acceptance and respect, celebrating differences. Something that Rita and I talked about, and this is very important moving forward, and especially when you're dealing with children, because now that's a state requirement, that all commissioners must pass a criminal background check and child abuse history clearance. And then the criminal background check to be kept on file at the Pottstown Police Department. So when the commissioners are sending in a resume to be appointed, the police department just needs to verify, yes, they pass this information. I don't need to have that personal information. Invoices that are incurred from the commission to be complete with detail of expenses and approved by the commission chair before it's sent to the Borough Finance Department. And then review of activity by a council committee. Again, personal details of individuals we do not need, just details of a case when requested, so it has oversight, and it's also under the appointment of Borough Council. So right now, it's currently under the appointment of the mayor. The commission has requested that that be changed under the umbrella of Borough Council as opposed to the mayor. So if, I know I went a little fast with some of that, so, but if the council would like to consider, and Rita, if you have anything you'd like to add, and Joe, to consider this option as opposed to, you know, looking at other communities and just looking at what's important in our community. And if we do wish to support that, you know, open communication between the government, the police department, the L&I department, the commissioner, the commission it has to be there. I mean, it is absolutely imperative in order for this to be successful, for this program to work. I think we can make it work. I think there's room for a lot of good stuff that you know, they can be helpful with if we'd like to pursue that.
Yeah, I agree.